Chanel Fall. Speaking with regard to the human rights policy.
Good evening. I'd like to share my concerns regarding the human rights policy adopted by the board in January 2022. While I support the mission to foster true inclusivity for students and staff, there are significant problems with this policy. The most obvious one being that it declares support for both equality and equity at the same time. These terms are often conflated, yet they represent fundamentally contradictory principles. Equality says we should not discriminate on the basis of a protected ground, but equity tells us discrimination is perfectly okay so long as it serves the right groups. If the board supports equity, it simply cannot say that it is fighting against discrimination, and it cannot say that it supports equality for all. The board should know that this is incoherent considering it has defined these terms in the very policy I'm addressing tonight, where it admits that equity means the removal of disparity and disproportionality between groups using extra and positive measures. In other words, people who are assumed to be oppressors due to their identities can and should be discriminated against if it means that people who declare so-called oppressed identities can benefit. Grouping people into oppressor and oppressed categories is a radical Marxist perspective that is not shared by the majority of Canadians, who tend not to judge people according to their assumed identity-based power. We need to stop pretending that those who advocate for discrimination under the guise of equity are progressive and inclusive, and get back to treating people equally, regardless of their skin color and other traits, as this is the best way to foster real inclusion. I ask the board to revise this policy, emphasizing the importance of equality, not equity, as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
And thank you. Don't